Things are heating up here at Flashpoint 2 as a grudge match is on the cards to be opening up our day. OG will be hoping to claim revenge over the men of Gen.G in our first matchup. And of course, joining me to break it all down, the wonderful Dundgren and Alan. Of course, we are starting off with the Tower of Babel here, which unfortunately, we've already seen one team cut from. It was the Colossuses of Cloud9. And OG, that is how they managed to get here, beating Cloud9 and cementing their spot here against Gen.G. That was an interesting matchup, to say the least.
I mean, that was obviously one where everything was on the line because loser literally not only was going to be in last place in the group, but actually last place in the entire tournament and missed the last chance qualifier. So that could have been OG. Like, they were the ones who looked pretty bad in their first game as well. On the Cloud9 side, I mean, just the sheer spectacle of, we know how many millions were spent on the lineup. They're trying to resurrect players, bring new players in, bring in someone who's supposed to be mustered in terms of Alex. So I think there was actually, that'll end up being one of the more important matches of this tournament potentially, because actually OG, I think from that game, start to look like they're turning it around. Like, they actually look now like they could be a team that could make a nice deep playoff run.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about Cloud9, we were talking about the fact that they didn't even win a map here at Flashpoint 2. That was pretty crazy, you know, coming out the gate. Some of those bold words from Mr. Man himself, Henry G, saying that it would be a failure if they don't win this tournament. A little bit disappointing to see them flop out in dead last place.
I think a little bit disappointing is probably the understatement of the century, to be honest. I'm not sure I've ever seen a team come into the tournament with so much, you know, saying we're going to win this, we're building this lineup to win this. I understand why they did it. It was probably to attract the right players, going in with the right mindset, saying we're really here to be champions. But the amount of pressure on their shoulders in that first game must have been immense, especially they hadn't even played a game at all, actually, in a match situation apart from that game. You know, players like Mezzi, coming into a game like that was the biggest match of his career. He's got all of these things going on around it. So many eyes, so many eyeballs, all the community. You know, everyone knows all the contract amounts. It must have been crazy going into that first game. I think all that pressure on them, perhaps too much. I understand why they painted it like this, but perhaps for some of the newer players, it was too much for them to handle. And
before we get into the nitty-gritty of our analysis, we want to hear what you guys are saying at home. Make sure you're following at Flashpoint on Twitter, at Flashpoint_CS on Instagram. And guys, we even have TikTok now. We didn't need Maui to be getting up onto that poll to be appealing to our Zoom audience. Make sure you're following us on our TikTok. I believe it is Flashpoint CS official. Not actually too sure how TikTok is working. Don't have an account myself, but I will be making one to make sure that I can follow the Flashpoint TikTok as well. But with that, I think it's time to be getting into our first game. Let's start talking about the guys of Gen.G to be kicking things off, because, gentlemen, they delivered one of the biggest upsets that we've seen so far here at Flashpoint 2. Now it's going to be a rematch. They're coming up against OG once again. So, Duncan, what have been your key takeaways from this squad, considering that they have two stand-ins currently on the lineup?
Yeah, and basically the word on the street in the industry was that these weren't the two players they were going to be getting, that actually they would be making real signings and that they were going to come in with a proper roster that was going to be 2021's roster. So I don't think that they can have had that much time to practice. So to me, I mean, you've seen some of the weird Band-Aid aspects they've taken, like they often put the two Swedish players in one site together. We even heard on the comms, they sometimes even talk Swedish to each other. And then on top of that, they're trying to blood Kusta as an IGL. Well, the interesting thing, if you hear the comms, is everyone talks pretty much. Like, he certainly gives, like, some direction, but basically, if people have ideas, they're sort of very open to it. And so, for example, the new guy, Kreese, who's barely played any top pro Counter-Strike, he was very, very active when he wanted to make players or when he would be on his own in a site giving information. So, actually, I think for me, he's been one of the real revelations of the tournament so far. Generally, he's fragged pretty well against, obviously, some pretty good teams. This was a pretty killer group for everyone except Gen.G, we thought on paper. So, I actually look at this as a squad where it's all these unexpected, these question marks have kind of all been answered temporarily. And so at the moment, they look like this is a team that could go in the playoffs. They could maybe upset someone. But at the same time, I also do expect, because of the opponent they're playing now, you're not supposed to beat like the number 6 team in the world with stand-ins. You're definitely not supposed to beat them twice. So I look at this one as nothing, no expectations for Gen.G. If you frag out, if you do it, great. On the other side, though, you can put a lot of pressure on a team that was expected to potentially win this tournament.
Yeah, and let's move on to that topic of the men of OG, because you were saying, Alan, before we came into this, the pressure is really, really mounting on them. If this upset happens yet again, then there is a massive issue with the squad.
Oh yeah, certainly. I think for Gen.G, I haven't been on board with the reaction actually from a lot of people to this team, because let's be realistic, they've got two stand-ins. We know they had 5 days of practice coming into this tournament, and a lot of people are saying, it's really great to see them getting upset wins, to see them taking it to teams like OG. But from my perspective, I don't think it's good at all. I don't think a team like this should be coming in here and putting in good results. It's a really bad look for the teams they're playing against. And I think a lot of people are on a kind of the hype train in a sense. I think this team's really great. It's great for the tournament. I'm not a fan of upset wins in general. I don't like them really at all. I want to see OG coming into this game really performing, putting Gen.G back in their place where realistically they should be. They shouldn't really be competing in this series at all. It should just be a clean 2-0, to be honest. We'll see how the maps pan out on that one, but OG have to win this game. They really have to win this game, and I think if they lose this match and if they eventually win out the tournament in a bad placing, then you might even have to call this roster into question, because you can't be losing to a team with 2 stand-ins and 5 days practice. You just can't be doing that in a tournament of this scale.
No, and it is a very good point. And speaking on that, Duncan, where are you kind of looking to see those improvements from the last time that they faced Gen.G? Was there anything that was glaringly obvious to you that was just missing from this OG squad?
I mean, their CT sides were appalling, and that is actually very alarming, because first of all, obviously the team with the 5 days practice and the 2 standings shouldn't have a straight fire T side on a map like Train, and more importantly than that, this OG lineup has been together since roughly a year, basically. It was in like the beginning of December last year that they officially put the 5-man lineup together. So after that amount of time, most lineups only last around that time for their whole lifespan. So it's not the idea that like they're still building and they're going to go event to event to event. Like they're supposed to be basically as good as they're going to be right now. And so if they don't go really deep in this tournament, I'm going to kind of take it as that, as like they had their couple of tournaments they were good at. I think they had 2 that they actually did anything at online. So if that's the average we're putting out there, it's kind of a sorry story for OG if they don't win this and go further in this tournament.
Yeah, definitely a lot of pressure on OG's shoulders coming into this one. I believe we have a little quote from Valda after their loss against Gen.G a few days ago. I don't know, rough times at the moment. Don't want to take anything away from Gen.G. They played really well today. Just got to take it to the lower bracket all the way now. Interestingly, they did manage to beat Cloud9, so they're going to be having that rematch yet again. But I think it's an interesting point where, we have access to the comms in the green room. We were listening into them in that first matchup against Gen.G. They talk about these communication issues, and it was definitely evident in that. It was a little bit messy, to say the least.
Yeah, the problem they have as a team essentially is because they made this team using 3 people who've been in-game leaders, I think sometimes it's hard to train yourself out of being an in-game leader when you've taken that responsibility on. So when you're seeing things in the game or you're thinking, well, here's what I would do next, it's hard to just say, I'm just going to show up and just going to be a player. So I think one of the things you've seen is when Alexi B's feeling his game and he has the confidence to be the leader, that's when I feel like they're at their best. But when maybe it's more too many cooks in the kitchen type scenario, yeah, you can end up with kind of a messy recipe in that analogy, I guess.
Yeah, I think this OG team has 2 big problems. The first is communication. I think the second is mid-round calling on T side. And both these concepts are very interconnected. People don't realize that mid-rounding on T side isn't actually so much on the in-game leader. It's a lot about the comms. You'll be getting really good comms from your players. What are the CTs doing? How are they playing? What nades are down? What should we go into? And then the in-game leader basically filters that information and just picks the best option and goes with it. So with this team, those are huge problems, and you're not going to fix those overnight. Communication especially, that could take months, even player changes, and even coming into this team with international rosters, second language. There's all of these questions, and I know because I spent a brief time actually coaching an international team, that mid-round calling in a second language is really difficult because there's a 2-3 second delay where you have to translate in your head what you're thinking. You're thinking it in his case in Finnish. You have to translate it, then put it out. Those 3 seconds can cost you. That could be the whole game. That can be a counter name from a CT. That can be a CT information play. That can be a player on your team getting too aggressive because there hasn't been a mid-round call coming in. So for them, if they can get on top of these problems, they can do really well. But I just don't really see how in the time frame of this sort of tournament they can get on top of these sort of problems, especially when potentially they don't have a strong coaching figure behind them to really point them in the right direction.
Yeah, of course. And you mentioned it earlier, there's going to be a lot weighing on these maps coming into it. So I'm wondering, you guys, if you have any thoughts, are we going to be seeing a repeat of the exact same map veto play out as last time, or are there going to be any changes? You hoping there are any changes?
Basically, if there aren't changes, if we go with the standard, well, Alexi B's never played Vertigo, so they have to veto that. I actually think that they are not a team that will be able to win this tournament. Like, if they veto Vertigo here, I'm calling it now, they will not win Flashpoint 2, because if you can't ever float that map against a team that almost certainly doesn't want to pick it, and if they do, if anything, would open the door for, like, you could do a crazy upset, they'll have nothing on you. So that ban right there, that tells me this team's been together for a year, and you can just never play it even against a team that doesn't have the practice to be good on it. So And leaving it open means, again, Gen.G can just do their pick of train, which is what cost you the first time. Still not a map that OG looks like they've figured out this tournament at least. So I feel like it's very alarming because I've sort of seen this series play out before.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all by the Vertigo ban. I was pretty sure they're going to go for it coming into this one. I think you're underselling Gen.G a little. And obviously, you haven't seen this lineup so much. The old lineup was very good on Vertigo, particularly in the summer. They had a brief period where I probably would have said they're actually the best in the world for about a 2-week period on Vertigo, but obviously changed lineups, some standards, stuff changed around. From the perspective of, is having a solid permaban a good idea? Absolutely not. In this day and age in 2020, especially when, maybe you get a bit more choice these days over how many tournaments you play and stuff, you should be having a 7-map pool.
Just look at MIBR. They have a 7-map pool that's just got a new team. Yeah.
Only been playing for a month, they can play all 7 maps, and they've been figuring out their veto. So why can't OG have a 7-map pool? Why can't they float Vertigo in a situation like this, ban train, and give themselves a better chance in the series? So those bans are what I expected going into the picks. With it open, we'd be very surprised if we don't see a Gen.G train pick. And I think from the OG perspective, I think they're going to pick into Nuke into this one. Yes. I think it's probably their strongest map.
It's also got to be a feel good just from the way it went against Cloud9. Like Alexi B obviously felt like he had his game on T side there. He was individually very, very good. I feel like that's the one they think they've gotten down. So makes perfect sense that they go with this. In terms of the Mirage pick, listen, it's certainly a map that OG likes to play, but I actually think that they've purposely done this as a little bit of a throwaway. They think that they're going to prep for us on Nuke. They're expecting us to go into that, so let's try and not show them too much. Yeah,
it might also be in the case that you know a few days before here what you're going to be going into, so they might even practice Mirage for 2 or 3 days straight, knowing that they're going to pick into it. They probably knew that Gen.G were going to perma overpass. It was going to be open, so maybe they practiced it. I'm not really sure what's expecting that map. I thought Mirage was going to be the decider, so thought it'd be in the series, but not the pick. The OG ban on Dust 2 is
You'd think logically we'd end up on Inferno here. I mean, I've certainly seen Gen.G play Inferno. They looked half decent on it.
Yeah.
And obviously, you don't really want to give OG the strength of Nuke, so it's their prerogative to do what they want here.
I would definitely take out Nuke here if I was Gen.G, and they've left it in.
Okay.
And
that's bold.
I wasn't expecting this veto, Duncan. This is very surprising.
There's a problem I have with this veto is I feel like, listen, I'll give Gen.G their credit for what they've done so far. On Train, they look good. I don't know about those other 2 maps, though. I feel like this is slightly shifted towards OG, which, by the way, when you refuse to float that perma, shouldn't happen.
Yeah, they have actually got a realistic chance here of 2-0 Gen.G. If they come into Mirage, they win both pistols, they get T-side rolling, they just start contacting and getting super aggressive, and they put, potentially issues in the comms under pressure. They could take that one. So I'm a bit nervous for OG here, and we said before a few minutes ago that they need to win this series. They can't be coming into this one and getting blown out. If they got 2-0'd here, that would be a total disaster. So the maps, not a huge surprise, but they're probably leaning a little bit further towards Gen.G than I would have expected.
Well, interestingly, we are going to be seeing Train coming up again. That was a map that we were speaking about Gen.G being incredibly strong, and it wasn't just a one-time pick against OG. They managed to look incredibly strong against Virtus Pro. But Yumi, it's going to be breaking down a moment from that previous matchup on Train.
So for this matchup, I've picked out the pistol rounds for Gen.G versus OG. This is just going to highlight just what Gen.G have brought forward to the table so far in Flashpoint. And you can see that they've separated. They separate in a way that allows them to look and go for control early on while having Kusta as a lurking presence. They'll build a bit of a round here, start to feel out where OG are positioned, and Mantu is going to be the problem area that they want to try and eliminate. You can see them probing for information. Mantu's taken a few shots, and they're lining up a flashbang. But while they're doing this, as soon as this flash leaves his hands, they're not only releasing the flashbang, but also primarily getting the windows broken at the same time so that they can mask the noise initially. You're not going to actually see this work out for Gen.G in this round. Mantu is able to get a quick kill. They'll start 4-on-5. And one of the things to highlight was that Automatic actually had one of the smokes here for Gen.G. So they will, again, slow things down, see if they can deal with this, because this is the area that they wanted initially, but because of Mantu's presence there, they have to eventually go back to that later on. They throw a smoke towards B, and while that's happening, simultaneously, Kusta is drawing attention towards Ivy, and that's causing a big rotation here for OG. And this is actually going to pull them towards this A site, while Gen.G can simply walk on out. This is actually a large bit of flexibility that Gen.G can operate off of. Sure, this is a missed call from OG, but even if we contrast that to when they were against Virtus Pro, where there was a slight difference in how they approached the rounds, they actually started in a 4-on-4, Automatic again was a player that was lost early into the round. You can see that same smoke goes over towards the B bomb site. You can see they're probing for information once again, but they recognize very early on that VP are playing for a full retake instead. And because Kusta is in a position over at Ivy, he hears this rotation through towards CT spawn, and Gen.G very reactively head back towards the A site instead because of the ground that Kusta is able to get as a result of this. Even if VP were prepared for this, even if they looked at the OG game and said, okay, we weren't going to fall victim to it, they still got pushed towards the wrong bomb site, and it shows a great deal of flexibility in not only dealing with this player towards Pop Dog, but also just managing the rotations late into the round. It's something I'm interested to see. Whether this is fluke or finesse is still something that's yet to be determined, but I imagine we'll get to see it in the game to come. Back over to the desk.
Thank you very much, Yumi. We will indeed. That will be the second map of the series. But before we are jumping into that, we've got to take a look at our current standings in our Pinnacle leaderboard. Of course, yesterday we reset all of our Pinnacle points, and it unfortunately does see Yumi down right at the bottom, joint with James. Unfortunately, he's actually been put in the red with minus 1,000 points. Hawker and Alan, man, second place. You must be feeling pretty good about that.
Well, last week I was just in the middle the whole time, so this time, good start. Both of them right yesterday. Hopefully we get them both right today and we continue this good form. We're still drawing there with Hawker and Anderson. Need to pull out ahead of them. I don't think we've made the same predictions today, at least in terms of the points. So hopefully I can get them right and pull ahead of those two.
Well, let's speak about that. Let's have a recap of the odds that we were betting on last night. Of course, it's slightly different to how normal predictions work. We have our Pinnacle points and we're going to be gambling them essentially on our different teams. Of course, for Gen.G, 2.98. For OG, 1.4. So I'm interested, gentlemen, where were you siding with this one? How many points have you been putting down?
I just did 500 for both games. So I actually just said I'd take OG as the team to win. I actually think the two Fanatics, OG, and two favourites rather, Fnatic and OG, will be the ones that win. So I just went kind of safe. I would say, if I knew what the V2 is, it's not necessarily a bad game to take a little cheeky wager and you get 2-1 odds.
Yeah, the odds actually there, they were really hard to decide on actually because in any situation where you've already seen the series play out and you've already seen one team win it, you're kind of inclined to say, okay, they've at least got chances, even though in the death segment here we have spoken how mainly this is probably going to be OG-sided. They've definitely still got a chance at Gen.G, so I'm still throwing it up, but it was just hard for me to predict to take Gen.G in this one. I couldn't side with anyone apart from OG. I think they're going to get their shit in order in this game. I think they got their ass kicked in that first one. They got a good lesson. The comms are crap in that first game, so hopefully they've tightened that up. Coming into this one, we can see a better OG, and they can take it.
Well, James seemed to disagree with you there. He was going 750 on Gen.G. I'm interested, Anders and Semler, did any of you side with Gen.G for this one?
I don't know. Apparently, I don't exist anymore, Anders.
No, you've been left out. It's fine. Well, I think you picked OG as well. I think everyone did except for James. I've got to appreciate the fact that he's doubling down from yesterday's massacre. So he's on his own on this one. I think it's bold. I like it.
It's a bold move, Cotton.
Yeah.
We'll see if it pays off. I don't think so. I think it's going to wind up like a wrench to the nuts.
Because we've only got 4 days now, right? So this is going to be the slightly tricky thing with it. He kind of has to double down now because he's already that far down.
Problem is, though, of everyone on this broadcast, wouldn't he be the one who low-key would love it if he had to do some stupid forfeit and be like, this is punishment. Probably do like that dance off the office or something.
I would love to see that. I'm kind of hoping he loses just for that. And gentlemen, I think we can start to kick this day off. It's going to be OG versus Gen.G. Anderson Semler, take it away.
Well, thank you, Freya. I reckon we should come up with some really great punishment. Just we should put extra thought into it now that Bardolph is at least getting close. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm interested.
Cloud9, that was a thing. That was fun. Did my little Bronson impression there for a quick minute.
You know what?
Good times.
I'm still not really over Cloud9. You know what I'm not over either, Semler? The last time these two teams played, I was real angry with OG, and that hasn't really dissipated yet. So I'm very curious to see if we're going to, start this off with, getting back to normal. We can respect OG once again, or if it's going to start down at that low level, because it was really not that cool last time. They did have a good game in between it, where they were playing some other opponent that I can't remember at the moment. But against Gen.G, it was really dreadful. So we'll see if it is going to be different this time. Gen.G starting on the CT side, OG on the T side. First map here is Mirage. So big welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Flashpoint. If you're just joining us, it's going to be a lot of Counter-Strike coming up, and it seems like they've really got a lot of mid-control here, Gen.G, that should allow them. I mean, they're close to the B-bomb side. Right now, I think the CT side has a very good setup to see and defend what's coming.
Well, okay, so Issa commits that smoke to block off connector on A, but that's not going to really help too much here. OG now, they need to go charging onto the site immediately. Kusta's going to hit the first shot, though, from short. He's looking for a follow-up as well. Doesn't connect. Instead, it's Issa finding that kill. And now Kreese goes down next. Issa unleashing today, the beast. Wow. That was a clean shot from Exist, but it's a 3-on-3.
He actually tried to just dive down behind that truck and just got his head blown up. Well, bomb is down now, Semlo, and there is a smoke and a kid on Bentet, so retake is doable.
It's absolutely possible. They need to find somebody actually peeking out here from OG. Need to find one of them making a mistake, and Mantu going to be trading it. It's Issa, though. Just once again, utter domination here coming in from Issa. Really impressive stuff. He didn't even have Kevlar. He was just taking all those fights and hitting headshots.
Yeah, that worked out incredibly well. Gen.G not really stabilizing the situation, just the even trade, the 3-on-3. And then just a good afterline. I thought as soon as Kusta got that kill, you know, that's usually the setup for something amazing. This is, I can't believe it. Can we get that in slow motion at some later point? This, yeah, oh my god, like, what is wrong with Exist?
That was sick. That's what you kind of need, though, from Exist, right? He is in that stand-in role here on Gen.G. It's worth mentioning. Yeah. Sounds like there's a bit more of a mix in terms of leadership on the team, but that's also good to hear. I mean, you kind of want it to be loose and fast here, and that's a strength for Gen.G. Make it more difficult to predict what's coming from these guys, and they need to lean into that against OG right now. Nice molly, though, going to force them into the corner. Still holding in shadow. The smoke is there, and they're going to get caught. Issa finding one. Does he realize that Kusta's still here, though? Kusta could ruin their day.
Comes out. That's the bomb on the ground. Call maybe a little bit late. Even MBK doesn't really get the message in time. So suddenly 2-on-3 with the bomb on the ground. They do have the AK and actually two of them to try and do something with here. Sneaking in his Mantu. Would have loved to have had that kill immediately. And yeah, he's so worried. He knows that someone's there. It's going to be automatic, shooting him in the back instead. And Valden now in a 1 versus 2. Low on health and everything else. Man, that was... It's almost even hard to blame them, right? Because they did really check that smoke and found, you know, the one guy they thought was there. Just how do you know that there's going to be 2?
Yeah, how do you know that there's going to be 2? But the fact that he gets 2 kills out of that?
Yeah, that was probably the problem.
That second kill shouldn't happen. Because the first guy to die, I didn't see who died, but he sees who's killing him and from where. So it should be instant from the teammates on A. Just they should whip around and take Kusta out. And that just did not happen whatsoever. But we're going to have a pot shot getting taken here by Automatic in a moment. Valda trying to predict where he's going to come from. With 20 seconds left, it's looking like he's just going to go ahead and back off and save this AK.
Yeah, doesn't want to try and risk it. I mean, at 20, he's definitely never going to get the kill, run across the site, plant the bomb. Like, it's going to be so hard to do. So, yeah, I guess that's it. He'll have the armor and the AK and the smoke next round. It's not such a bad move, but from Gen.G's point of view, great second round. They get to pick up an AK and a Mac 10, so I guess that's also fair enough. Scout, yeah. I was going to say, you could have gone for either one. I think you could have justified both, but yeah. They had the grenade and everything else, but you're right. Yeah, this is the issue. It doesn't seem like, at least, maybe not an immediate call. I don't know. There wasn't that much time between them. Actually, when it was live, I thought it looked like it even took longer, but
yeah,
it was just a couple of seconds there. Hard to criticize, isn't it?
It's tough. But that is a disaster as far as OG are concerned. I think in order to build that confidence to go up against Gen.G here, considering they got 2-0'd by Gen.G last time these two teams played, you know, to build up that confidence, I think you needed a strong start, which they got. They got the pistol, and they did it in fine fashion. But I think you needed the second round, too, to just keep building up, and then you get that strong start on the T side, you start feeling good about yourself, and you go from there. Instead, now we're left with, once again, OG with their backs to the wall, going for a force buy. Deagle, Kevlar, and 3 guys on OG have yet to get a kill. So at some point, these guys are going to have to wake up here. This will be the round.
Yeah, well, they got some Deagles in play. They can definitely do some damage with that. And Gen.G kind of giving up mid a bit. When you have the superior firepower, though, it's kind of okay to do it, I guess. You can definitely try for it. They don't have that many grenades either on the CT side, but certainly more than OG have. So it sort of feels like we're going to get just, you know, a flash setup. I mean, they only really have 2 of them left, so even that might be a slight problem. And they're both going to be on this side. So there's going to be no flashes from the middle. That could have been very cool if they could have chucked one over the wall to go for it. But smokes are up now again. And yeah, once these guys get in connector, it's going to be go time.
Flash over. Perfectly done, though. Velda was turned away. So he gets that headshot on Kusto, goes for the peek. Bentet from the site, though, takes Alexi B's head off, and we're into a 4-on-4. OG trying to push onto this bomb site. It's just not going to pan out. Although, as I say that, Bentet is struggling to find this kill. It's only NBK alive, though, and Automatic will collect it. So, 2-1. Gen.G stabilizing with their second round here on the CT side of Mirage. And, yeah, OG.
It's kind of an interesting round because it's great work from Valder in the middle, getting those 2 kills, one in window and one all the way around the catwalk. But it also happens so early on that the rest of the push coming in from the ramp and the hallway up here is sort of still segmented by, like, they can't really help each other out. Valder's stuck fighting in the middle on his own. It is a good idea, and it's just good fundamentals from OG to try and get that pincer movement in on the A-bomb side, but you want it to be a surprise from the middle, right? You almost want to, you know, be fighting in the A-bomb side pretty much when you're in connector and not when you're halfway down the middle. So just the timing, there's nothing that you could really control. But also no bomb plant, so yeah, Gen.G gonna get probably here a third round. So they're gonna start to feel a little bit good about that. Although I'm starting to feel like, because these second rounds are just won so often now by the team that lost the pistol, it's almost like mentally, surely everyone at this point has just got to be ready. As in, like, because 3 years ago you would have said, oh no, it's an absolute disaster, and like that's really hard. I almost feel like now maybe more teams are like, yeah, whatever, like it happens all the time now. So
Standard.
What can we do?
That's actually a very good point, and I'm sure well, Yumi's on the stats right now. You could probably tell us just how often that's going right now in terms of second round Force Spies winning out. I know that there was a stat done by HLTV, but that was ages ago. It's not going to be relevant anymore. So a fresh stat would be interesting to know.
Yeah.
Off the top of our heads here for the second round Force Spies. That was Striker. I think that was Striker that was actually putting that together back in the day when it got big in terms of going for rifle Force Spies on the second round if you got the bomb plant on T side, and he actually determined that it wasn't as effective as everybody thinks. But
yeah, I'm sure that has been changed a fair bit since some of those stats were out there. Oh, Automatic kind of weirdly caught. He's hit a lot of people. They're going to be quick on the B-bomb side. I think K.R.A.E just has to try and stay alive here. That's got to be the name of the game. Spray down is pretty effective, but Assist comes in to try and help him out. Kuster as well. If he could get that second kill, that would have been everything, but instead it's Valder with a double, and Bentet caught trying to get in, and they are kind of trickling into the bomb site a little bit one at a time here, but Gen.G, it's almost like they got slightly baited into doing that because of how those fights were taking place, and they knew Automatic was in middle, so it's not such a stretch to imagine that he would be moving up this way. They have a minute, though, to try and find him, and he's 8-1, so I wouldn't underestimate him with any weapon. He is capable of doing it all right now.
Certainly with the scoped ones. I think he got like 4 of those kills in that scout round, or at least 3 of those kills with the scout. So he is dialed. He could be in a position here to catch them moving up CT. If he thinks about it, yes, he does. This is the angle to hold, but of course he can't know, and this is... Oh, yeah, it's just the way it goes. You know, it would have been insanely lucky for him to glance at CT spawn as they crossed.
And, yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of money. The rest of them, Kuster is a little bit low. You could justify going for this, but it is a massive risk to try it. Moving a little bit up. He's actually made a lot of noise, just hoping for an instant kill. He does have a smoke and a Molotov and a defuse kit as well. He could try and put it on the bomb and just hope that they make a big mistake. That actually goes way too wide. Yeah, Isa's going to shoot him in the back. Fair play to Tim for trying it out, but yeah, that will cost them the AWP and the round, obviously. So there was a moment there where it really felt like Gen.G were about to defend that bomb site.
Yeah, the spacing on OG, that's where you got to give him credit. They just kept pushing forward, and it was always somebody there to take the next fight.
Yeah.
And that's so crucial, because if it's even off by half a second there, they slow down just a little bit, Gen.G can stabilize and start watching each other's flanks. Instead, they keep fighting and fighting and fighting, and that's exactly how that's supposed to go with OG. Just maintain the man advantage and keep pressing.
Yeah.
So, excellent work there from OG. They got a second round on the board. It is going to be a force spy coming in from Gen.G. Light on the nades, though.
Did anyone hear Isa? I mean, you feel like Exist must have in some sense. Yeah, he threw in a grenade, so I think he is aware. Flash around the corner. Kuster just going to underhand that smoke through. It's forced out pretty early, though. I mean, still a minute and 23 seconds, so forcing out those smokes to the ramp is just fine for the minute. They're so deep in on the map. Look at Alexi B. He snuck through the connector onto the stairs here at the A-bomb site, and yeah, they just have no idea that needed to be a kill. That's very, very risky. Oh, man.
He's getting so much info, though. 1 CT, 1 site. What they don't know is where Kusta is playing from, but they can maybe assume that Kusta's still close. Nicely done by Alexi B. There's Mantu catching automatic, and now you're looking for Kusta. You know that somebody had an MP9 around here, and sure enough, he is going to get caught. So well aware of the situation there, OG. That was very clean.
Look at the damage on them. 25, 31, 31, 37. They're all very close to death. Not that it really matters now in the round, but... Oh, even catching that. He was hiding behind the potted plant, wasn't he?
Sick.
That's some camouflage.
Is this OG just taking control back now? Alexi B has imposed himself early in the half. No shenanigans. Keep your cool. Get in here.
That's a huge round, especially they win it flawless and no one goes down there on the OG side and they manage to creep in the middle like that. Wow.
Nicely done. So, Alexi B always zoned in. One of those fragging in-game leaders, so it was a bit of a shock to see him start with, with 0 kills, but that round he gets 2. He's on the board. They're certainly going to hear the footsteps, and yeah, sure enough. But Alexi B's going to get flanked. It's Mantu, though, taking shot after shot. He is under heavy pressure now. Molotov going to force him into the open. Oh, he gets him through the box.
He did. He actually connected with both of them. So, I mean, yeah, a little bit expensive, but not the end of the world for OG. I think they'll be all right with it.
That's where your brain already jumps to conclusion. Like, I'm seeing him just, oh, he's going to get those kills, and then, no, they're still alive after he takes that shot. Wait, what? Your brain just shorts out?
Yeah, you're like, nope. Man, it's good. I mean, it's a pretty good job for Mantu nonetheless. He didn't seem like he was panicking. He was like, all right, whatever. Just got to take down as many as I can when they come for me. So 4-3, though. 3 in a row right now for OG is a pretty good comeback. Gen.G going to be back with the rifles now, although they'll be lacking at least diffuse kits and very many Molotovs and flashbangs. So we'll see if OG just force out a couple of grenades here. They should be set up pretty nicely for any kind of an execute that they might want to go for.
Yeah. Any nades at all right now. These 3 smokes for Gen.G are worth their weight in gold. And Automatic is going to throw one out already. So very early into the round here, many nades used for Gen.G. OG are going to be aware of this. They've gone ahead and just stomped around in mid, created as much noise as possible, try to force that utility out. And now they can rotate over and get a nice clean execute going. They'll have nade superiority. It's going to be very difficult for Gen.G to throw a wrench in things.
Yeah, they need to stop this right at the limit, right? You know, perimeter of that bomb site.
Yeah. Yeah, Bentet's in a position right now. This smoke could make a difference here for Bentet, and that's what he's hoping. As soon as he spots somebody, he's going to try and underhand it. Yep.
And they have time to wait it out, though. 50 seconds. I mean, it's no big deal for them right now. The other smoke is all the way over at the B bomb site on Kriyas, so not going to really matter. It just has a flashbang, but what is that going to make? So they're just waiting out. Yeah, smart move from OG. And now, if they Molotov that sandwich position, the crews are going down, but Bentet could be almost dead immediately if they throw that one Molotov.
Oh, Velda did not spot the gun barrel. There it is. Perfect pounce there from Bentet. Automatic setting up as well, going to find one, and he is trying to hold this line. Not going to do it. NBK with 2. Man advantage now for OG as they push on to the bomb site. Rotation coming in from Exist into CT, but that flash forces him back. Nicely done, though, by Crazy. Catches Alexi B looking the wrong way. So it's a 2-on-2 retake. And this needs to go their way. NBK running out of bullets.
Yeah, now they really need to think about the time that's left here. Again, they won't know that there's no kit in play, but suddenly that makes a massive difference in this round. Molotov on NBK. He's in a position to get caught, though, so might not be able to use it. He's thinking about it. He had it out for a minute, and he's going to be going down. And now it's on Mantu. The bomb, though, it is sort of planted for him. He's going to get that first kill, and then, yeah, just shoulder peeking it out, making sure Exist is not on it. Doesn't know if he has a kit or not, but he's got to run already. There's no chance here. Smartly played from Mantu, and he's going to come back even with a little bit of revenge, hunting him down and making sure he can't steal any of that. 11-4 on Mantu, and he played all of that perfectly. That's very cool.
That was ruthless as well, hunting him down with the P250 at the end. Just getting it done.
And once he gets the first kill and he's just in a one-on-one, he has to go for the immediate peek to make sure, because for all he knows, the other player could have been defusing for 3 seconds already, so he really has to check and make sure. Yeah, so like he's already instantly out there. It's very, very smartly done. 5-3. And OG's definitely looking stronger, more focused. It's the T side to remember that they're obviously the ones that are dictating the pace of the game right now. We don't know if it's going to, follow through onto the CT side, but it's a much better look than it was last time around for sure. And Gen.G have, I think, maybe cheated themselves. I mean, it's partly due to the economy, but something they were pretty cool at last time we saw them play was some of this aggressive pushing, right? You would see Automatic with an AWP, you know, sort of trying to push up somewhere to sneak in a kill, a B tunnel, something like that. So they haven't been doing that much. Now that I said Bentet is on an adventure out in the A hallways, but it's also tricky when you don't have the weapons. Maybe you don't feel like risking it, but I do think that is a level of their game that they could try and recover maybe a little bit later on Gen.G that would maybe help them out.
Look at Bentet, though. Pushed all the way into Palace. Into spawn, realizes that nobody's going to be pit either, and this is why we're seeing this beautiful stat coming out from Gen.G. 4 players on the B side ready and waiting for OG. OG are fixing to run into the blender here. This is about as bad as it gets, although this Molotov is going to force K.R.E.'s hand. He is going to get caught, so that opens it up, but Automatic from the bench. The crossfire works wonderfully. He gets 2 kills with the help of his teammate, Kusta.
Yeah, they're actually slowing it down enough that now Bentet's got into position. Automatic will go down. Kusta back here, crouching from Valda. What a kill. That's actually very important. Again, Bentet nearly had the time that he needed, and Mantu smartly checking behind him. It's a very close round in many different ways there. Gen.G had it nicely figured out just because of that little bit of aggression from Bentet. So it doesn't change the fact that it's 6-3. That's a problem. Huge problem with Gen.G right now.
It's the absolute struggle right now. It looked so good with off of that second round. They were starting to chain it together. Looking more and more confident, but these force buys have come back to bite them. The low buys with the nades, just getting rifles. OG were able to take advantage of that. Now we're seeing the change of pace from OG. They know that this is the full buy that Gen.G have been saving for, and they are trying to ramp up the pressure immediately. Beautiful entry here from Velda. Takes Bentet before he can get away out of harm's way. And now a man advantage for OG. They haven't pushed onto the site itself, but they should have control in a moment.
Yeah, and they're fine with just taking this fight for a minute here, see if they could catch anyone else out. Kusta not quite flashed, and Alexei bomb is now on the ground, and Kusta can't follow up with a second kill, unfortunately, because that would have been maybe the round-winning move there. Exist, a little bit of damage pushed out. They do have just one more flashbang if they want to swing for the CT spawn, but without the flashbang, this becomes a suicide mission. So I'd say either call in Isa to throw that grenade, or just leave it alone and try and plant towards the open. Yep, there's the grenade around the corner. It doesn't actually... It goes a little bit too deep to catch K.R.E., so he's still going to get the kill on MBK. And now Isa caught out in the open. Man, suddenly a 2-on-3 favoring Gen.G.
So much hesitation on OG's side. Ooh, with the smoke going down, and this has created some room here for Velda to work with. He catches Automatic in the mid-window. We're into a 2-on-2, and that smoke getting thrown in by K.R.E.'s creates an opportunity here. However, Velda decides to push window, and Exist was ready and waiting for him, and now life gets very difficult. Mantu needs to spot it, and he annihilates Exist, and gets the follow-up. Unreal! The 180 clutch! K.R.E.'s, that was such a brutal shot onto Exist, but to get the follow-up as well.
That is an absolutely beastly performance coming up from Mantu. I can't actually believe that he had that turnaround. He just looked like a deer caught in the headlights, because he already fired that bullet and he was trying to get the next one in. He's like, oh no, and then it's just perfect. Wow.
Shoot.
14-4 on Mantu. He's determined not to have a repeat of the last performance. Some nice grenades landing there at top mid. That's simple but effective at the moment. But man, everything about that just looked like it was going to work out for Gen.G.
What a save, man.
Yeah.
What a save. But Mantu, yeah. I mean, he is integral to the success of OG. He is one of their hard carries on this roster. And so seeing him frag out versus Gen.G, I mean, that's going to give Alexei B a little bit of confidence here. It's going to maybe give him, you know, just a little bit less pressure on the shoulders. If he knows that he can count on Mantu to hit shots. I mean, Mantu is Mr. Reliable for OG. Even when things are going against him, it feels like he's never really off.
He's had some really, really cool games. Definitely someone who does get, you know, sometimes left out of the conversation. I think when people talk about interesting AWP players, but yeah, when he's tuned into the game like this, it is enjoyable for sure. 2 versus 5 and OG. Again, this is the sort of stuff I kind of expect out of a team like OG, but which we didn't really see last time. But you know, this round is essentially won, but they're really being careful here. They're just sort of trying to stay grouped up. You can tell, even using some extra smokes to throw some fakes or whatever. But like, it's all worth it. Better than getting picked off one at a time, meandering around the map. So They're going to find an empty bomb site over here, which is just fine. And that'll be a seventh round in a row for them to win. It's pretty awesome at the moment.
Yeah, it's terrific. They've completely saved themselves here in this first half. And on their map pick for OG, is worth pointing out that Mirage is theirs. We're going into Train next, and last time that was where Gen.G shone against OG. Managed to get that 2-0 win going. And so now, well, you know, we'll see if OG can redeem themselves or not.
That was a 16-5, I think, on Train. They won last time, so it was quite an outrageous victory. And that's about the time where I was losing my mind. From Gen.G's point of view, you think, well, what can they do here to try and improve things? Oh, Bente, that's actually very cool. Oh, does he get away from... No, that's so upsetting. He just played that so well.
So close. It's like the finest of margins at that point.
But from Gen.G's point of view, they've just taken a tactical timeout to talk things over. I'm trying to think of what would be the right way to try and handle some of this. I don't think they've been that bad at least showing some aggression, or like intermittent aggression in the middle. I think that's all right. They had that one round where Bente was sneaking up in the A palace, but I don't know if they want to do even more than that. OG aren't leaving themselves very open. They're not being that aggressive either, so you know, like you could also just be walking into a trap. It's sort of hard to say what the right move is right now for Gen.G. Oh, all right.
All right, yeah.
That was a cool effect.
Didn't know if that was me or not for a second there. I was like, oh, this is it, Anders.
Am I having a stroke?
It's all good. Yeah. It's been a good run.
Sounded like one of those ambulance things, you know? You got like the red shift, blue shift thing.
It sounded like the noise that all flying saucers make in all cartoons.
It's true.
You know?
Of course. Yeah.
I was waiting for you to say, but that's how they actually sound in reality, Augusta.
I knew I was being baited. but also they are real, so just putting that out. Listen, I'm telling you.
Let's get into it. OG. They are definitely in control of the situation now. Done a good job so far, at least of forcing out some of this utility from Gen.G. That's going to be crucial. But again, Gen.G, I mean, Bente is not messing around. He is still hanging very close to Pit, and this will be a duel between him and Issa in a moment. As that smoke clears, curious to see what Issa decides to do. Yep, there it is, the peak, and he takes that fight, but Bente annihilates him.
I think he probably felt like that was way favoring him at that point in time, you know? Just catching him out. He didn't get flashed at all. He's like, fine, whatever. If you're going to swing, I'm ready for it. But Bente is... I don't know how close that shot was, but you could almost feel it. Anyway, we're down to 35 seconds here, so OG have left themselves almost no time at all to make this work. In fact, it's kind of critical. It's red alert time here. Sound the alarm and go to a bomb site right now. You're going to run out of time. That smoke is down at a really incredible time as well, so they almost have to flash their way through. I think waiting around for this is a bit of a nightmare. Exist on the other side smartly, just trying to counter that whole thing and automatic saving him, and I think that is all they needed. So OG, I think... You know, expecting more of a fight, expecting to be able to recover that round from just waiting and letting Gen.G make a mistake, which they never made. Good job on Gen.G, finally getting back in the game a little bit here.
Yeah, and keeping all 5 players alive as well.
Yeah.
That is critical going forward. Now they can just get full nades, and, you know, should they lose, they still have that loss bonus gathered up. They won't be, I mean, it won't be a total disaster for them. So 5 alive, and yeah, that was a brilliant shot from Bente. Super clean. The save from automatic.
It's the kind of friends you want, isn't it?
Got his back. Got his back. And do we have? Yes. Okay, we do have a tactical timeout getting called here by OG.
That's fair. I mean, they're gonna have money for this round and for the next round even. I mean, there's still some good back there on Man2, so that they have the space to figure out exactly what they want to do, and maybe also want to just calm things down a little bit here, because that round was not quite like the others. So if you were gonna make the team consolidate a little bit and make sure no one's just drifting off into their own minds, then now is maybe the time for it. We shall see. They've got not really. I love it when you get that spawn, the closest spawn to A, and you can just run straight for the fight, especially with the AWP. I think it's always a good surprise if you manage to do it.
All out aggression. I like it. Catch them jumping across bench. That's the spot.
But they're throwing the same grenades like they did earlier, pretending that it's sort of an A attack. That they have that wall going on over towards the jungle. So these are the same nades that we saw earlier when they went straight for it. Of course, now we can tell they're slowing it down in a completely different manner. So we'll see if that's going to be paying off or not. Automatic, essentially a free kill for him on MBK. That's also confirmation, even if Gen.G already would have known, wait a minute, it's not quite the same thing, but now we see some mid-presence from OG. Now we're definitely sure we're up against something new.
Yeah, they did not see anything coming in from pit either. Oh, this is going to be unfortunate. Oh, no way. Montu, how many shots are you going to hit, dude?
And he got dinked. If you're Bent, you're just thinking, well, if I have an AK, you're just dead. So I guess you win this time. Molotov, grenade all the way back there. Oh, so much damage. Kusta, he should have been dead. He actually takes Mantu with him somehow. Automatic going down. And Valda now clearing B. But they have the bomb here. They're surely not going to be falling back. I feel like that is a massive risk.
Wow.
They actually look like they're going to be threading the needle. But this is... Now, though, Valda is in the market waiting. And it's very hard to check this corner all the way behind the shelves here. It's so difficult to do.
This is the one. This is such a big round. And can they go together? Exist and Kreese need to work together on this one. They need to set themselves up to trade.
Wow.
No way does Exist get that kill. Valda, what is going on?
Yeah.
It's all over the place.
There should be confirmation of what's next, surely. Now, Isa still has a Molotov, and they have no smokes on the other side. So if somehow he can stay alive up here, he's getting flanked. So he's going to win at least one of those fights, maybe. Yeah, it's just going to be the one. But if he can just stay up here and has the lineup for the Molotov down there, they could still win it just based on that. Oh, but he's a little bit slow. Definitely had the opportunity there. And now it's on Alexi B. 1 versus 3, and there's plenty of time. They've got kits and everything else. He's going to get that kill almost for free, but being immediately shot on the side of the head. It's Exist to take him down. And Gen.G with a round that they probably should not have won here.
2 failed duels.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, 2 failed duels for OG leads to that round loss. And well, this was, I mean, it was a nice change, but that was unreal. Montu, that shot is so nuts.
I'm wondering, oh man, I wish I could see the radar when they get this kill, because I'm even wondering if they couldn't have just flashed through the market window, for Valda instead of him just peeking it raw. And you can also tell, by the way, he wasn't peeking that with sort of the full commitment. He was just saying, let me just see, like, let me just shoulder peek to see that if anyone is, there looking in towards the B bomb site. So it was sort of like a little bit half-hearted, and that's probably what got him killed. But also credit to Exist for getting those kills. It's actually really impressive. All right, full setup here, and there's only going to be one defender bent towards the CT spawn. Presumably going to get smoked off real soon.
Beautiful wall. That's a flawless wall of smokes going down right now. One place that they can be under pressure is CT, and you see Bentet dropping that smoke to create a little bit of room for himself. But at some point, these guys are going to have to commit and take advantage of these smokes going down exactly before they clear. So the bomb has now been planted, and the ball is in Gen.G's court. They have to be the ones now to initiate. And Kusta's a man on a mission. Only issue is he's being checked, and Velda's just not expecting him to be there that early.
It looked like he was even visible, at least from our point of view, like he actually saw him a second before, but I guess not. And now they are definitely boxed in. Some good grenades there on Gen.G. They could absolutely be winning a 6th round here, and that'd be massive. Mantu taking a kill. Oh, they look like he was flashed there, maybe by a teammate as well. But the kills come through anyway, and it's Mantu and Isa left. 2 versus 4 here. It's going to be very hard to hold on to this bomb plant. 3 seconds left. He sees the lineup, though. Isa, that's a massive kill. And now they might be in trouble anyway. They're starting to back on out. The bomb is going to get every single one. And it will be another round for OG, man. Oh, that one kill, it was even closer than I thought. They just needed that, and they would have won the round.
That was the hero kill coming in. And so here, this is the full, beautiful execute coming in from OG. You really do like Mirage executes, just, just all the wall, perfect, going down, the nade usage, and then getting the bomb down early. That's what saved them. Getting the bomb down so early.
They're just, yeah, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. Which, by the way, now that you mentioned, that's a very common mistake that the T's do on this map. You set it all up, and then you're just waiting around, and then you don't have anything else to go off.
We already saw that once from OG earlier, where they kind of just, didn't commit. They weren't quite sure. And that hesitation will cost you. This time around, however, it is going to be Kusta once again with the MP9. Bentet there to double tap it. And it's a man advantage for Gen.G going into the final round of this first half. 9 rounds on the board for OG. And just 2 players left alive here as they tried to go for, looked like a rinse-repeat sort of thing, except that they wanted to get scrimmy. Just get out before the smokes, don't even bother.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I think they've been throwing so many different timings at this A-bomb site, so just hoping for it. Look at the peek behind the debris of that HE grenade. Automatic, he's 1 kill behind Man2, so it really has been those two going head-to-head in this first half. But it's OG at the end of it with 9 rounds, Gen.G with 6 rounds. Still a very open game, but it is tilting towards OG at the moment, no doubt about that. We'll see how that goes in the second half when we come back after the break.
So we're back into it now. OG and Gen.G changing sides. OG on the CT side, Gen.G on the T side, and already we're going to see what Gen.G have got in store for us here. They looked very confident, or competent rather, in that first half, managing to collect 6 rounds by the end of it. So a little bit rough in the middle, but then stabilizing towards the end, and that's the important bit because now they're going into their pistol round, and they need to hit some headshots.
Yes, they do. Well, they make it past the random shots from an XCB into NBK. Oh, USB, there's so many Glocks coming through. Oh, man. I don't know what he would have ever done to make it out of that one. And now the B-bomb site's empty, and it's going to be a really odd retake coming in here from OG. Currently no smoke picked up, and I don't know if they're going to find one either. I don't think NBK, even if he had one, probably someone else would have stolen that already. So going to be a very weird retake. Flashbangs to do it, they're going to have... well, one chance and then another one, and then they're probably going to go. And if they don't make it out here, I don't think this is ever going to be even close. All right, just going to throw the one grenade. Man2, good start. Follow up. Oh, my God. They're wrecking them on the retake right now. Just being Bentet left, and that is so flawless. Oh, man.
What?
Well, then. Whatever. Have it your way.
Happen?
No one knows. They murdered them all somehow.
They did. They murked them.
That's wild, isn't it? Why is that happening?
Let's see again. Well, Monte is it's just more of the same from Monte. He is ruthless. Didn't even stop.
That's absolutely incredible. Triple kill for Manto, yeah.
He's just so in the zone that he's hunting. He's still hunting for targets even after getting that last one. Like, what?
Yeah. Give me more. Feed me.
What a beast.
Well, 10-6. Amazing stuff. Manto at 21 and 8, and it really does seem like the The force that's opposite him at the moment is Automatic, who is 17-10, which is still a really incredible scoreline.
Yeah, Tim showing that he still got it.
For sure. That's, in many ways, one of the worst things about Tim's career right now, is that he's definitely still got it. So why can't we just, you know, find the perfect constellation of players to fit around him?
Yeah.
It's starting to become really annoying.
Oh, Velda's going to be in for a rough time here in a moment as C.R.A.E comes around the corner. He'll pick up 2 kills, make that a 3rd. Let's see. Not quite going to manage that one. Kusta's finally going to take him down, but 2 for 1. Better than I thought he was going to get, to be fair. I thought it was going to be a single kill, and that would be it. So, Mantu's going to catch Kusta in the end. The bomb is all the way over in B. So, Existent Automatic, what do? You're kind of screwed here.
Yeah, they're just fighting for, you know, just try and kill Issa.
Glory.
Yeah, something like that.
Vengeance.
So we're never going to make this round work, but let's just give it our very best here. Oh, Kusta, Automatic back there. Can he do anything? No, he's going to get taken down. So only losing Valde. So that's a very good round. 11-6. No bomb plant. This is all starting out so well for OG. In fact, it's very hard to imagine how Gen.G are going to stop OG from winning 5 more rounds throughout the rest of this map. It just doesn't. When you put it like that, I don't see how that's going to happen right now.
Yeah, this time OG winning all their duels. They managed to pick up the pistol and get the follow-up. So no shenanigans early in the half from Gen.G. It's OG just establishing control, and they are going to get the full buy. No hesitation, no cut corners either from OG. Full nades. They do not want to let Gen.G pull a fast one on them here.
I think they've got that focus back that was just completely lacking the first time these two teams played. And, I mean, you got to give credit to OG, although I still don't think that focus should ever be missing. The fact that it was missing to begin with, I can't just erase from my memory. But I'm happy to see that it's that's not what we're watching right now. So I think that's one of the big differences here. It's just that they were looking very confused last time around, not so much now.
Yeah, it's one of the things. I mean, it's kind of why they are coming from that Tower of Babel group.
Oh yes.
Getting the international rosters to work, it's so tough in terms of communication. Nice control there. Issa still hunting for more. He will go down, but the only one, and they'll be able to save that M4. Alexi B or MBK, yep, we'll go ahead and swap out. So no real loss.
I'm starting to wonder. I mean, this is always such a dangerous path to go down in terms of
what, the Tower of Babel?
The Tower of Babel. No, well,
yeah.
that is fascinating in many ways, I think. But no, you look at Alexi. You mentioned earlier as a fragging in-game leader, and I completely agree with you. But of course, in this game, he's 6-12, and you wonder if that is actually a reflection of him really taking the reins of the team. I'd be super interested to know what the analysts think about that. You know, without revealing obviously anything about what they're doing. But I think in general, I think it'd be worth contrasting how much is Alexi being charged of this team versus last time, because if that's one of the differences, well, then we know what the solution is for OG, right? Never let go of the reins ever again if you're Alexi. You just make them all shut up and play the game the way you're playing it.
Could very well be the case, yeah. I mean, it certainly is efficient, but you still can't not. You're going to have to find that middle ground, right? Just because the fragging in-game leader seems like everybody has to be fragging now, or it's just too much dead weight.
Oh yeah, you can't go completely missing. I agree, definitely not.
Well, as far as OG are concerned right now, they are on the hunt for Gen.G, and Gen.G have elected to back off. I wonder what's prompting this. Did they hear a footstep on short? Was there some kind of info there that gave it away? Because they don't have a presence on A to know that there's a push or anything coming.
Yeah, that's a good question. They've had Kusta waiting in the middle for a long time, and he has seen no one over on that side for the minute. Valde's been here the whole time. I don't think... Yeah, he's never going to really give this one up. A Molotov could be really annoying for him, though. If they time it right, Molotov or flashbang to this corner, it could definitely work. They're running right around, and Valde... I mean, that's such an easy fight for him to win in so many ways. He hears the footsteps, and now there's 30 seconds, and they're going to try and make their way through Connector onto the A-bomb site. Bomb is down as well, and this is looking like just a very confused round coming out from Gen.G at the moment. In fact, they are getting slaughtered here. Man 2, well, Doesn't even matter if it's a shot or not, does it? Flashed in, an assist, trying to take some more people with him into the ground. It'll be finally Valde to drop him at the end, so that's all fine. It's 13 to 6. Again, no bomb plant, so they're in trouble.
Just enough for Gen.G to go for a buy, but yeah, this lack of a bomb plant, it's just showing that not only are they not getting kills, because OG keeps surviving the 3 at least, but they're not having any success getting on site, so that really doesn't bode well at all for a T side here on Mirage.
It almost looked like they wanted to find a quick kill over in B, and then when that didn't happen, they were like, oh, I guess we'll just meander down underpass.
Yeah, what do we do next? Shoot.
Yeah, take a detour or something. Like that didn't. It's fine if it seems very deliberate. Let go B, stay there for 10 seconds, try and get a kill on the guy jumping. If that doesn't happen, you know, we're back into like some sort of an A split with something else. But it didn't seem like there was that level of determination at all. What was it? 30 seconds when Kusta went down to Valde in towards the ladder room. That's really not a lot of time. At that point, you know, one mistake again, the bomb drops or anything, you're in trouble. Smoke is clearing. Valde, he's just thinking about it. Man to gotta get the kill on K.R.A.E. That's gotta be a little bit annoying. We'll put up a smoke, but they get the refrag on Valde, so it's not all bad here for Gen.G. They've left Kusta in a position where normally he'd be able to hear so many people rotate. Now, most of the people are actually behind him, but it's still a really solid idea, this one. Even if you're going for a B attack, it's so cool to have someone here. Although, oh no, Alexi-B's got the right idea. He's going to see it beforehand, and Kusta goes down. He wanted to sort of press the issue a bit much, and now they're actually in trouble. A lot of trouble.
They just heard that drop as well. So the B defense is aware of what's happening, and you even have the push from Alexi-B now, clearing out mid, and BK. Automatic speed don't even touch the floor before he gets his head taken off.
Yeah, they're all here. I mean, there's not much they can do.
The main thing, the way that I'm reading this right now, though, is that if Gen.G don't kill Mantu, then they just can't win the round.
That's probably true.
It's like they kill Valde. Okay, is Mantu still alive? Yes. Okay, then.
He's 28 and 8.
He's at 28 and 8. That's an insane.
What a monster.
Insane scoreline.
I don't know. I feel like Kusta was. It looked like Kusta was slightly being told in that moment, like, go find a kill. And I'm not sure that can't really be the priority. I feel like it has to be something more like that B hit has to work, and then Kusta's position becomes worth 10 times as much. Oh, a nice shot from Bentet. Taking down Valde, who was trying to take that fight straight up and just got destroyed. So that's a good start here, if nothing else. Get that M4 on their side, but they're so far behind. 14 to 6 right here, and I don't know. They need more than a miracle at the moment.
With the raid boss lives. Mantu, he's up on ticket as well. Isa, is he going to walk into this? He would have the advantage if he takes this peek against Exist, if he decides to step in, but that would be really committing to the line. Oh, this is... There you go, buddy. Picks him up. He realized, he knew what was going on here. And now he's just waiting to drop that smoke. Every second is priceless here for Gen.G. And considering he has no idea that the man's already made it past yet, that one shot is going to give it away, and now it's going to be the push. Mantu finds a man in mid, and Isa annihilates them one after the other. K.R.A.E. is going to find an angle. But again, Mantu's still here. Isa doesn't even need to peek. Mantu's got the cross.
Yeah. Give it to Mantu. 30th kill.
There you go. 30 bomb.
In just 21 rounds. Well, I mean, listen, there's going to be presumably some amount of focus will go towards Mantu and his performance, and I think that's all fair. You know, you should definitely give him credit for this one. But it's just, fortunately for OG, it is not the only thing that's looking better for them, which I think that would be actually a sign of worry if you had to say, well, they're still playing just as poorly as a team, but Mantu's playing well. That would be a sign for real concern. That's just not what we're seeing at the moment, in my opinion. So, yeah, this is something else. Nice nade.
Super solid.
And actually, weirdly, I think the uptake in focus for OG is sort of matched by a lack of decision making from Gen.G side on this T side, which is really not what we were seeing last time either. From memory, they looked so much more decisive. Like they would follow through way more often on their calls, and now you could sort of tell they're like, oh, but then wait, and then down the middle, and like it just all looks really weird from that point of view.
And the the automatic engine has kind of run out of fuel here. He's still sitting at 17 kills. He's not quite having that impact that we saw in the first half.
Gotta feed him something to get back in there. Don't know what. What do you do?
Get that man a Red Bull.
Something like that. What's the fuel for Tim? I don't know. Whatever it takes, because probably not in this map, but then at the very least at the second one, which will be trained. Again, I will remind you, I think they won that 16-5 or something like that of Gen.G. So that could still be a very rough time coming up for OG on the second map. I doubt it'll be this one. At the corner waiting, Valde has got a Molotov and an HE grenade, so he could do some damage. Oh no, he can't do anything at all. That's a nice peek from Automatic. Taking down Valde. Bentep will follow it up. LXCV gets dropped, Anissa. Wild Spray, I can't believe he got the double. He should have been absolutely dead. That is such a misstep. And now NBK showing up. Gen.G, this is so nicely lined up. They had just done everything right to win this, and now they're in trouble. 10 seconds on the clock. 2 on 2. They need to get the kills and get the bomb down right now. Somehow Mantu lives, and now Automatic. It's a good no-scope, but with 4 seconds left, Mantu just waiting, and he's just going to try and take the shots through. Oh, the bomb is planted. How is he still alive? Mantu on the other side versus Tim. The battle that's been going on all throughout, and it'll be Mantu to take him down. His final victim. 31 kills and a 16-6 scoreline here in favor of OG, man. That's the best way that could have ended.
The slight grin there from Mantu at the end, ever so slight. You missed it. You blink and you miss it, but some satisfaction. For an instant, we saw it. It was there. It was real. But the focus right now, OG know that they are not done yet. That was their map pick. So they get a decisive win on Mirage. Excellent stuff. But now you're going into Train. And this is where Gen.G trashed you last time. So you got to stay focused. You got to keep your head in the game. But first, before we get to that second map, we're going to hear what our analysts have to say after the break.
OG return hungry in this grudge match to be opening up our day, and a hot start for Alexi's army as they turn the tides on Mirage. They'll be one up over Gen.G as we approach our next destination of Train. But of course, Duncan and Alan join me to be breaking this one down. And Alan, you had a few questions coming into this one. A little bit surprised that OG didn't lean into that nuke, considering how dominant Alexi was looking on it. So what impressed you the most about this pick of Mirage?
I think on the T side, certainly at the start of that first half, OG were keeping it really simple actually. They were just running the simple plays, they were grouping together late and trading it out, potentially exploiting some mistakes from Gen.G. You don't have the experience, they don't have the team play, maybe individuals are making more errors. So at the start of that half, I was very impressed with it, just keeping it simple, trading good util. Going into the later half, I think they're having more and more issues. There were a few clutches that could have gone either way. That could have been a much closer game actually than the scoreline. So at that point, they moved into some more set plays. Maybe we'll look at one in a minute potentially on the screen down here. But at that point, they decided maybe the comms are falling apart a bit. Let's run some set plays, let's run something we practice, get it back together, get the team play back grouped in. Ended the half well, and then on CT, Gen.G just had no traction on their T side. It was just OG all the way, closed it out, and a fairly comprehensive map win in the end.
You would think, looking at this scoreboard, like this is day one of this group, and it's like, right, well, it's the team with the standards, Crazy's a newer player, obviously Mantu's who you want fragging out if you're on the OG side, like everything looks great, like as he says there, even though people think of Mirage as the pogging map, they were just exploiting all day long, actually, miscommunication, bad reads by the Gen.G guys. They were just doing very simple things that would just hit them over and over and over again, and then you just had a nice mid-round, basically. So this is basically what OG was supposed to come into this tournament like.
Yeah, well, speaking of the side of Gen.G, Monty has Elmer Putty on the line to break that one down in 60 seconds.
That I do. Elma Putty, of course, the coach for Gen.G. First off, you guys came here with a couple of stand-in players. You haven't had a lot of time to practice together. So as a coach, how have you approached this? What have you prioritized in terms of coaching on this new roster?
I think you just got to get the fundamentals down straight away. Try and just get any basics down, work how you're going to rotate, what utility you're going to use where, reactions to different things that are probably more common from teams that you're going to see, and just get those basics down to go over communication, spot position, stuff like that.
So you've had another week of practice because you guys are all boot camping in Serbia. With that in mind, what do you think has been the thing you've improved most from last week to this week so far?
I think we've just been able to implement more of those protocols, just where we know what we're going to do if they do a certain thing. Our CT rotations have got a lot better. I think that's probably the biggest thing that's improved so far.
And finally, talking about the next map, Train, why is it that you think this roster has been so good on a map that is normally considered very strategic like Train right off of the bat?
I think it comes down to Kustor a lot. He has a really good idea of what he wants to do on the T side of that, how he wants to call, how he wants to make the CTs feel uncomfortable. So I think a lot of it comes down to him, and we've obviously spent a lot of time talking about it as well. So
fair enough. Well, good luck on Train. It will be your third time and potentially third win here in Flashpoint on the map. We'll see you in the game.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Monty. Always great to get to hear from the coaches themselves during our mid-series. And speaking of that, we will be moving on to Train very, very shortly. But I think we need to speak a little bit more about Mantu there, because, Alan, you were super impressed with his clutching ability in this, managing to end out with 31 kills, way over 100 ADR. A very impressive showing from him,
Didn't you tell me he wasn't that good in clutches, Alan?
I stand by that, to be honest.
Okay. Fair enough.
From watching Mantu play in many other games, late round he struggles quite a lot with decision making. I think in a lot of these clutches it was kind of more mechanical. He sort of penned in a corner, he just sort of had to brute force his way out rather than being super, decision making. These players are here, I'm going to move over here to catch off this rotator, we know this person's here. All of these sort of things, I don't think that was particularly happening in many of these clutches. They were kind of on T side when he was left alone, and it was just, frag out, get the hit, the good shot. So in terms of playing under pressure, it looked pretty good. He was staying fairly calm, he's hitting good shots. I still need to see more from Mantu in the mid and late round scenarios, making good decisions. But definitely a good sign in this one during that game.
And I know that you had a particular moment that you wanted to be breaking down from this, Alan. So what was so impressive about this?
So if we're going to go into this round, it was round 13. This was a round that was a double fake from OG. And a lot of people would look at this sort of round and think this is on the fly, they're just calling stuff, they're just throwing random nades. But there's actually a lot going on in this in terms of pulling certain rotations. Hopefully we'll get into that one in a second. And here we are. So on this round, what they did is they throw the jungle and stair smoke there. You can see them in the yellow down there. What this does is it pulls players away from mid and towards A, and they also faked B just at this point. Unfortunately, it didn't pull automatic off mid, so he did get the frag on mid. But the whole idea of this round was to pull all the pressure away from mid, then towards B, so they could contact in A here. He actually ended up going back towards B, and it's actually this kill, this interaction can exist of Valde that decided the round. If Valde wins that, it's probably round over. I do think OG played the round fairly well. There's always a bit of kind of chaotic situation. CS can just how the cookie crumbles, really, and CS it can go either way. But the idea was good, and it was just a good example for people watching at home of where it might look a bit random, it might look a bit crazy. There was a lot of kind of small things going in that, and that was a sort of round that they'd practiced coming into that. I mean, we even heard in the comms actually for that one, that was a totally set round. Alexi just said, let's run this strat. And that's kind of what OG's like as a team. Normally on T-side, they run pretty much full set rounds where they call it from spawn like that. In this game, they're running more defaults. So that was just a really good example from my perspective of what OG can be like on the T side.
And of course, as we heard from Monty when he was chatting to Elmer Puddy earlier, Train will be the second map of the series, potentially, well, it will be the third time we see it, potentially the third win, as he also mentioned. So for you, Duncan, what are we going to be looking at from this Gen.G side to be recreating, to take that once again, because it was 16-5 last time?
This is where, again, I think the initial starting conditions for the tournament of the teams should play heavily. Because, listen, in terms of the map pool, certainly Gen.G looked good in the first and second outing, obviously against a different team in the second one. OG hasn't looked that good on it, but again, you're the team that's been together for 1 year if you're OG. Like, if you can't learn from the beating you took the first time around, you've got serious problems as a team. Then I'll throw in as well, you've won your map easily. You know the third map's one you're pretty good on. You should be a lot freer than you were in that first map, which was the first map of the series when you played Gen.G initially, and you didn't even know what to expect from them. So I actually think a lot of the pressure's on Gen.G. I'll be very impressed if they can pull it off and give us a similarly high-level performance, but I'm actually expecting OG has a good chance to 2-0 here.
Interesting. And it was something that you were picking up as well, Alan, saying that the CT sides were a little bit lackluster last time we saw OG coming up against Gen.G. Now, we saw them have a flawless CT side on this first map of Mirage. So is there anybody you're going to be particularly looking towards going into Train?
So on the topic of OG on the CT side, they're really inconsistent, actually, from what I've seen of them so far. Some rounds they look really good, super good, rotations. They're playing off each other well. And I very much suspect it is communication. It's communication breakdown. People aren't saying the right things. They're not, saying this area is open, so people are getting flanked. It's all of these sort of things. Some rounds they look really good on the CT side, but I want to see some more consistency. Now, coming into Train, the player we need to see more from, and that the player we saw in that game was Mantu. We need to see Mantu everywhere on the CT side of Train. We need to making great decisions where he's starting early round, where he's moving mid round, getting onto B when they lose Brown rules control. Everything like this, that's what I want to see from Mantu. And talking about this game, I think it's important to frame Gen.G on Train. So a lot of people throughout this tournament have been saying Gen.G, they're incredible on Train. They're super good. They've got an incredible T side. They are very good for the amount of practice they have, but they are not a top Train team in the world. I've watched their T sides. They play pretty aggressive. What Elmer Puddy was referencing in that interview when he says Kusta likes calling T-Train is that he likes to abuse timings. So what they like to do is they'll throw the sandwich and E-box smokes onto outer, and they'll pop out a really odd timing that players aren't used to. They're so used to going in at the way it works is you normally go in about 3 seconds till the smokes are left and you get out and cover some ground. They're going way earlier than that and catching people off guard. So that's exactly what Elmer Puddy was talking about with Kusta. So they have stuff like that where they catch people off guard. Gimmick, perhaps, but it will surprise people. But having played them already on Train, knowing this is going to happen, they can come into this series knowing there's not players open on outer. Let's get into sandwich, get into anti-flash positions, be ready for those outer pops, because that's what they really struggled with in that first matchup.
And I think that is the key factor coming into this, considering we've already seen these two teams competing on this very map. But I think it is time that we jump